So Osee updated their 15-inch field monitor, which was the Megamon 15, and now turned into something more professional sounding, which is now the Mega 15S. Now I've had the chance to take this on set. The director, the gaffers, and the talent were able to use it as a reference monitor, and they all loved it, and they were able to see their performance. The director could see everything, and the gaffers were able to use the monitor as a reference for the lighting setup. The older unit had 1000 nits, and the new updated unit is now 1500 nits, which is a decent jump, and that it's bright enough for broad daylight. When we got this unit in, we took it outside almost at high noon. The sun is striking hot and bright, and this still delivers. We can clearly see the screen, and that I don't think you'll have any issues putting this anywhere. Let's say you don't have any shade from the trees or buildings. You can just place it anywhere that's not like directly hitting the sun, and you should be good to go. And also, you wouldn't put this under the sun because one, electronics overheat, and you want the crew to be under the shade as well, so that it's just a better experience for them, and also it's comfortable for everyone. The case that comes with it, it's a soft travel case, which I really like. Let's just say under broad daylight, you don't have any shade. You can just use the built-in sun hood from the case, and I think it's a perfect solution for it. Expanding more on the travel case, it's very convenient because you can just, you don't have to take out the monitor from the bag, from the case, and you just have to open up both sides, and you'll have access to the ports, and you'll have access to the screen and the buttons in front as well. And again, if it's too bright, you have the option to prop up the sun hood if you do need it. One thing I don't like about the sun hood though is just it's way too wide, and that if I'm not using it and the case is still on the monitor, kind of just dangles all over the place, especially if it's windy. There's no way of you kind of strapping it in. And I wish there was a dedicated strap to kind of put the sun hood in place when you're not using it, or maybe you could fold it in half so like you can easily tuck it away. Worst case scenario, we can just use gaff tape to strap it down to the sides and make sure that it doesn't dangle whenever someone's using it. So let's talk about the screen. It has 1900 by 1200 screen. It's a full HD monitor, and it's an IPS black LCD, which gives you a contrast ratio of 1650:1. And most budget monitors only has 1000:1 contrast ratio. This just means that the shadows will look lifted and flat compared to the true dark shadows that we want to see. And that's what higher contrast ratio means. You want the shadows to be crisp and not flat, so that you get an accurate representation of what you're filming in your camera. It's got an anti-reflective coating as well, so you can keep the contrast consistent, especially if there's a light hitting the screen. And on the back, it has a V-mount battery plate. And on the 5-hour shoot that we did, we had a 99-watt V-mount battery, and it only consumed like 60-70% of the battery. And that's pretty good. Ins and outs, there are 2 SDI ins and there are 2 SDI outs and only 1 HDMI in. It's got a foldable handle on top, which is great if you're not using the case. It's got a dedicated cheese plate on the back as well, and it's great if you are attaching wireless receivers or transmitters. And that's exactly what we've done during the shoot. It also comes with a C-stand adapter, so you can just put it on a C-stand.
You know it's really hot when the product is sweating as well.
So it's easier to move around on set rather than finding a dedicated table to place the monitor on. Speaking of the included feet, I found it a little bit troublesome to install because the feet, you'd have to screw in a thin metal frame on the side, and I just wish it was a little bit more intuitive so that it's a little bit more solid and secure on the monitor. Alright, so let's head into the features of this monitor. First thing on the list is that it's got an integrated self-calibrator. That means out of the box it's ready to go and the colors are great. And like all monitors, once you start using it regularly, months, years, you'd have to calibrate it so that it's got consistent colors and more accurate colors on set. That means you don't have to bring in third-party tools or software to calibrate this monitor. It's got a 10-bit panel, so previewing LUTs, especially if you have a lot of different colors in, it's going to show you really good good quality images, and that is going to show you accurate colors as well, so that it's not like an 8-bit monitor where it's going to lack some colors, especially for gradients, but with a 10-bit panel, it's going to give you a lot more color renditions. And again, it's going to be more accurate from what you're seeing on camera to the reference monitor. This monitor also includes the camera log LEDs from most camera manufacturers. If you don't want to use custom LEDs, it's already included for you in this monitor. It's got your standard monitor features. You've got false color, histogram, your waveforms, vector scope, focus peaking, aspect ratios, and a lot more. I'm just going to lift them up on the screen. But again, these are standard and they're good to have, especially for reference monitors, field monitors, for video production. Another thing they have changed is from the directional buttons from the first version to the joystick on this one, which I don't love. And I've seen some reviews with the Mega 22S. Tyler Edwards also mentioned that he doesn't like the joystick, and I've had the same issues as him.
Number one is just navigating through the menus and using this little multi-dial wheel thingy. I think this is super poorly implemented in my opinion. The problem is it's super sensitive, and every time I go to like push it in to like hit OK or whatever, I almost always knock it to the left or the right or up or down. So that's super frustrating.
It's hard to get used to, especially if you're navigating through the menus. And like if you press down on it, it's your OK button or enter button, and then just the directional buttons or the joystick kind of takes a while to get used to. But after that, I think once you get used to it, it's a lot easier to control. But I would rather prefer the directional buttons or maybe even touchscreen. But if we add touchscreen functionality on this monitor, it's going to drive the price up. And touchscreen also has a con, because let's just say the crew or whoever's operating the monitor has oily hands or dirty hands, it's going to smudge all over the screen, and we don't want that. Physical buttons are the way to go, I think, especially for field monitors. The implementation of the UI and kind of just like the user experience wasn't there for me. I hope that Osee develops this a little bit further so that we get an easier access to the tools and navigating through the menus. So the monitor has 4 pages where you can put all the functions that you want. So it's like a page preset. The first page, you can put histograms, focus peaking, aspect ratio, whatever. And then the second page, you can put anamorphic mode, whatever you want to put on different pages. You can just set up the most important features for you on one page, and then maybe another set would require anamorphic mode. So you put that on page 2. You can quickly access these pages with the joystick. So you can just press the function buttons to turn the functions on and off. There's also little features on the front, which also exists on the older unit, which is there's a little speaker on the bottom right, and there's a USB-C to load your LUTs and for firmware updates. And there's a 3.5mm jack so that you can put your headphones in. So lastly, let's talk about pricing. This is $949 and it's very competitive for what it is, especially for the field monitor market and for the features it has. If you want to go higher end, like small HD, and then maybe the mid-range would be the Atomos, you'd have to pay a premium for those brands. But the Osee Mega 15S, I think it's a really good bang for your buck, especially if you're investing in your own first field monitor for a client monitor or director's monitor. This is a great one for you. I've had 12, 13-inch field monitors, and I've had 20, 21, 22-inch field monitors before that I've rented out. And I find that the 15 is the sweet spot in terms of the size. If you have any questions at all about the Osee Mega 15S, let me know in the comments down below or message me on Instagram. I'd love to chat. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.